Okay, so just to reiterate, we're looking at exercise 15 this week, interior views and animations. So for this assignment, we will primarily be using the camera tools. So in SketchUp, you can find the camera tools a couple of different ways here. The first would be if you have your large tool set enabled over here on the left side like I do. It has a lot of the tools that we've been using, but then here down at the bottom, these two panels down here are going to be the camera tools that we are looking for. If you don't have the large tool set, you can just bring them up here on your top ribbon, and the way you do that is go to View, and then the first button here is Toolbars, so click on that. And this gives you all the options for bringing up different tools on your kind of ribbon up here. And so this one here is camera. It's actually the very first one. Mine's already enabled, but I'll uncheck it just so you can see which ones are disappearing here. So if I click that, it should bring you this row of tools up here. Just hit close for those to be up here. And then if you're not someone that really has your tools up here, you can also find it just by going to the camera tab. And it'll be these ones that are in this area, this orbit, pan, zoom, all these different zooms, position camera, all those. So those are the tools that we're going to be working with. I prefer to have them kind of here on screen with me. So I've got them here up at the top, but then I've also got them duplicated in the large tool set over here. So whatever works best for you. And so let's look at the different buttons that have come up with it. The first one is Orbit. We're familiar with this one. This is just going to allow you to orbit the camera view about the model, and we also know that the hotkey for that is just to hold your scroll wheel. So if I go back to SketchUp, click on the Orbit tool, and it gives you that, and you can just use your left clicker to hold and orbit around, or you can just press and hold your scroll wheel. That one shouldn't be new to us. The second one is Pan. We've also gone over this one before. This just lets you kind of shift the camera view vertically or horizontally. So you can either grab it and then just kind of hold and drag to use it. Or if you're on the Orbit tool already, you can hold down Shift and that'll switch to Pan for you. And then if you're using your Orbit hotkey by clicking and holding the scroll wheel, same thing, just hold Shift down and that'll change to the Pan tool for you. So then these next ones are going to be ones that we haven't quite gotten to work with yet. We have just a basic zoom tool, which lets you zoom the camera view in or out, and the hotkey for that one is Z. So if we click here, you can just click and then drag. So you keep pressing on the mouse, and you can just drag inward to zoom in or outward to zoom out. And you can see that it's kind of zooming the entire frame for you with this way. The other thing that you can do with your zoom tool is if you hold down Shift, that will actually keep you in the same place, but just changes your field of view. So I'm holding down Shift, and now I'm going to pull forward. It's a little bit harder to see in this view, actually. Let me come a little bit more inside the building. I might have to show you later when we get into an actual perspective view how that kind of changes. So remind me if I forget to go back to that one. It'll be easier when we're inside the model. Zoom window, hotkey for that one is Control-Shift+W. That one will just zoom the camera to show everything inside of a window that you have selected. So if I have this tool, I can just kind of drag a rectangle over a certain space in my model, and then whenever I let go, it'll zoom me into that rectangle that I had just specified. The next one, Zoom Extents. This one is good if you ever kind of get lost in your model. It'll just bring you back out to show the entire model. So let's say that I've kind of been moving myself around in here, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I'm lost, I don't know how to get back out. You can just hit this Zoom Extents button, and it'll just pop you back out to show the entire model. This next one is the previous, Zoom Extents was Control-Shift+E for a hotkey. This previous button will just take you back to the previous camera view. This one doesn't have a hotkey built into SketchUp, but we did look at how to create hotkeys. I believe we went to Window and Preferences, and then this one called Shortcuts here. So if you're looking for that previous camera, you could add a shortcut here if you wanted to. So that one doesn't have its own shortcut assigned to it already. But what it does is, let's say that I'm in a particular view that I've found that I like. Maybe it's just like this. And then I accidentally just kind of flip myself around and I'm like, oh man, I wanted to keep that last one. You just hit that previous button, it'll take you back to the view that you were just on. So it's kind of like an undo button for your view. The next one is this little person that's standing on an X. This is the Position Camera tool. And this will let you kind of place a camera in your model, and you'll be able to specify the location of that camera, the direction that it's pointing in, and also the eye level that your person is standing in. So we'll look at that one a little bit more when we start to set up our interior views. And then the look around and the walk tools will also take more of a look at when we set up our interior views. But the look around tool, again, no standard hotkey. It'll let you just kind of stand in place and kind of look around in a stationary point. So just kind of imagine you're standing in place and just kind of like walking in 360, like that's essentially what the look around tool does. And then the walk tool just literally allows you to walk around in your model kind of as a person. So part of your assignment is going to be to set up a couple of interior views. So to set up that new view, we're going to use the Position Camera tool, which was this little person here standing on the X. You'll use that to place the camera within your model. So click once to place the camera, or you can click and drag to point the camera in a specific direction. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Let's say that I want to position my person here at the front door. All I need to do is grab my Position Camera, and then you'll see it kind of looks like he's standing in the spot that I want that camera to be. So all I need to do is just click, and it should take me there. And it's looking a little funky right now, so what I'm going to do is check that I'm in the right kind of mode. So I'm going to go to Camera, and here's my problem. I'm still in that parallel projection, which is the view that we used to look at things more straight on in like a two-dimensional view. So I actually want to change that to perspective mode. And of course now I'm lost. Let me try again to get back out there. I'm going to use my Zoom Extents button to just kind of pull myself back out. Grab my person. Let me make sure I'm still in perspective. Yep. All right. Let me try this again. Click. There we go. And now I've been taken to the spot that I just told my person to go to. But what you'll see is that I'm facing the wall. That's probably not what I meant to do. I wanted to probably face the other way, so I'm actually looking inside of my model. I'm going to go back to I'm going to use this Previous Camera button to just go back to where I was. So to keep that from happening where you're just kind of staring at a wall when you're placing your camera, again, grab your little Position Camera button, and then this time click and drag in the direction that you want to face. So click where you want your camera, and then if you drag, it'll start to kind of tell SketchUp the direction that you want to look. So then I'll let go, and here we go. Now it put me looking more in the direction that I'd like to be. And then here's just a reminder about being in perspective mode rather than parallel projection or a 2-point perspective. And then once we're navigating inside of our model, the orbit tool and the pan tools can sometimes be a little bit clunky. So if I'm in here and I just use my orbit tool, I start to get lost in the walls pretty easily. So that's why we have the look around and the walk tools. They'll help us kind of navigate within the model a little bit easier. So we talked about just a second ago, the look around tool allows you to click and drag, pivoting the camera while you stay stationary. You're essentially just turning 360 degrees while standing in the same spot. And then while you're in this look around mode, you can adjust your eye height by either entering a height in the measurement box, or you can use the pan tool to shift yourself around. So you might have noticed whenever you placed your camera, as soon as you were taken to this camera view, SketchUp automatically put you in look around mode. Let's see if I can do that again to show you how SketchUp did that. So if I'm placing my camera, again, I'm going to click and drag in the direction that I want to look. And then now I'm automatically on that look around mode. My cursor has become this little eyeball, which this eyeball is weirdly way more detailed than the rest of the tools are. I don't know why this one suddenly looks like a realistic eyeball. It's kind of creepy. But so from here, you can see that I'm kind of standing in the floor right now. So to change, you can either, and I don't know why mine has not been working. You'll have to let me know if yours works. You're supposed to be able to, down in this little eye height box, down in the lower corner, you're supposed to be able to type in an eye height there. Mine's not working, and I don't know why. So I've been having to use the pan tool to kind of move myself up. And then you'll see down there, your eye height should have changed as you kind of pan up and down. So I've been trying to figure out why I can't click in that eye height box. It's happening on my personal computer as well. Is it working for anybody? Are you able to click in it?
I think it works if you just type the number.
You just have to type the number. Oh my goodness. Alright, Eli solved it. Alright, you don't have to click in the box. So if typical eye height is probably 5 or 5.5 feet, so I'm just going to type in 5.5 feet, enter, and then up it took me to kind of a typical eye level height. Thank you, Eli. Let's see here. And then the walk tool, oh, I didn't really show you the look around tool. So all you have to do is click and drag, and you are staying in the same spot, but just kind of looking around in this stationary spot. So I'm just clicking and dragging for this one. So the next would be the walk tool. This one you're also going to be clicking and dragging to use it, and you are going to be able to walk through the space. And something cool that the walk tool does, remember when we looked at the orbit tool, we were easily getting lost within the walls. The walk tool has clash detection feature, which means that it knows if there is geometry in your way as you're walking. So I go back to SketchUp here and I activate this little walk tool here. You can just click and then start dragging in the direction that you want to walk. And then you'll see that it's not really letting me move. I'm not getting lost in the wall. It just won't let me it's just running into these things and won't go anywhere. So that's a nice thing about the walk tool, is you're not going to get lost as easily because you're not going to walk through anything. You're going to stay within your space. However, let's say that you do want to walk through something. Like maybe I want to walk through my front door. Let me get away from the front door a little bit. use the look around tool to position myself. So maybe I want to walk through this door. I want to exit out of my model. But if I am just kind of using the walk tool, it's not going to let me move through there. So what I can do instead, now I'm lost. Get myself back in here. Okay. What you can do with the walk tool, you can hold down the Alt key, and that will take off that collision detection. It'll basically disable that function. So if I'm holding that, and then I start to walking through, and now I'm out of the model. Spin around. I'm now on the other side of the front door. Does that make sense? So that Alt key is going to be the trigger for whether or not you can walk through objects. Okay. So now let's look at those zoom tools. Okay, I guess I reminded myself with these instructions. So when you're in a particular view, you may find that you're too close to all of your model elements to really be able to see anything. So this is where the zoom tool might be helpful for you. Go back into my model, getting lots of practice with my position camera tool here. Let's look down this hallway. Okay. So let's say that I kind of want to be looking at my kitchen here a bit, but I'm really close to it. I can't really see much. So I can grab my zoom tool, and there were two ways that we could use the zoom tool. You either just click and start to drag in and out, and you'll see that if I got too far away, then I'm inside the wall, and that's not really doing what I was wanting it to do. So let me get back in there. So now, if I hold down the Shift key, what it should do is kind of act like you're standing in place, but it'll change your field of view so that you are able to see much wider around you. So let's try that. I'll hold down the Shift key, and then I'm going to click and drag outward. Yep, there it goes. So it's kind of like I'm standing in place now, but the more I start to drag away, the more I can see. But you have to be careful with this one because, as you can see, it's getting pretty distorted the more that I kind of zoom out. So you kind of have to find that good spot where you're seeing what you want to be able to see, but you don't want to be way out here and you're in that kind of fishbowl lens. Just gotta find the kind of the right spot. You'll probably have a little bit of distortion, but sometimes that's okay just to kind of convey what you're really trying to go for here. Just try to make sure that you're not getting too much distortion. Okay, so then you are going to set up a few interior views. I think down here at the bottom you're going to create at least 3 main kind of perspective views within your model. So let me go ahead and save some, and you're going to save them as a scene just like we did last week with those other views, still the same process. So let's say I want to save this view right here. I will just pull up my scenes panel, get rid of this one. Just hit the plus sign to add this scene right here. And so as we saw last week, your scene pops up right here, and we also have a tab up here for your scene 1. And you can either come into your scenes panel and update the name, or up here on this tab, you can right click and hit rename. So I'm going to call this one dining room. So now I have this scene saved here. And then let's say that for my second view, I might go set something up. Start walking. Maybe I want to go set something up back here, maybe you want to take a perspective of your toilet room, or maybe just, you know, kind of looking back at your front door from a different angle. I'm just going to say that mine is going to be right around here, so I can see more of that casework from the dining room and the front door. And then you'll want to set these up to kind of, you know, customize it, look the way you want. But let's say that this is my second scene that I want to save here. So I'll just hit the plus sign again to save this kind of snapshot. Update the name. Let's say now I'm in the kitchen. And then you'll see that this other tab came up here. So now we'll kind of look at the animation portion, which basically is going to allow you to kind of navigate between your different saved scenes as just kind of a walkthrough. It'll play an animation for you. So the way that we're going to do that, a couple things that you first need to do. In your scenes, you need to make sure that this include in animation button is checked. And if you don't see that in your scenes panel, you just need to click this show details button. So if I click that, it takes it away. Oh, I'm sorry, that didn't take it away. It's still down there. Oh, okay, I didn't click it. So then if you click that show details button, all these options should come up. So you want to make sure that if you are indeed wanting it to play in your animation, you'll just want to make sure that this little include in animation button is checked. And we'll kind of see what happens if we don't have that checked. So I do want my dining room and kitchen to play in my animation, so I'm just going to double check that both of these are included in the animation. And you also saw right there that as I'm clicking back and forth between these two tabs, it's going to fly back and forth between those different scenes. And so that's basically what the animation is going to do for us without us having to click back and forth. So to start the animation, it's pretty easy. You just right click on your first scene and hit play animation. And so it'll pause here at the first one for a second, and then it'll automatically fly to that second one for you. And it's just kind of going to go back and forth until I tell it to pause or I tell it to stop. Until it stops. So, a couple different things that we'll want to do here. You'll want to arrange the tabs of your scenes so that they're in the order of the animation that you'd like them to be in. So let me go ahead and just add a third scene here so that we can see the different arrangements. Maybe I'll go up to the second floor here, and let's just say that I'm going to take a little snapshot here. Add a scene, and I'll name it Loft. And I have it included in my animation. I think that's SketchUp's default, is to just go ahead and include it in the animation. So let me go ahead and play the animation again. Go back to my dining room, right click and hit play animation. And you can see that it's now going in the order of the tabs. So my loft came between my dining room and my kitchen. Well, let's say I didn't want that to happen. Let's say I wanted it to go from dining room to kitchen to loft. All you need to do is on these tabs up here, just drag the other one. Just drag the other one around. Why is this not working? Let's try it over here. Drag the loft. Maybe it won't let me drag. On this scenes panel, click on the one that you want to move, and then you should be able to use these up and down arrows here. Down. There we go. So now, whenever I did that in my scenes panel, these tabs also rearranged. So now they are in dining room, kitchen, loft. So if I go back to the beginning here, right click, play animation, Now they're going to go in that order of dining room, kitchen, loft, since I rearranged my scenes in the panel. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, so what you also noticed when I was playing my animation here, SketchUp takes pretty much just the shortest path between your scenes. So it was kind of flying through walls, and it didn't seem like I was really walking through the space. It was just kind of transitioning as easily as SketchUp wanted to go. So if you're wanting it to kind of transition a little bit more smoothly, like let's take a look, there was the dining room and then the kitchen. Well, that's probably not what we want to do. We probably just wanted to walk through here. All you need to do is set up a couple of extra transition scenes. They might not be scenes that you really are wanting to be like your main perspective views, but they'll just be a little bit more so that we can actually tell SketchUp to walk through the space. So I might, oh, how did I get up here? Okay. So I might start walking here, and I might have to save a scene just right here. Add one here. Maybe call it dining transition. I'm still including it in the animation. And then maybe I'll walk just a little bit more. Save another scene. Maybe this one is kitchen transition. And then let's see if we save one last scene here. Transition to, spell transition wrong. Okay, so I've now added a couple of transitions between here, so let's see what that did for me. Go back to my first one, right click, play animation. So now it should start to walk through each of those transitions that I created. And this is now starting to look a little bit more, yeah, kind of like what I would be doing if I were actually walking through the space rather than just randomly flying through the walls. So they might not be your kind of main money perspectives, but this is kind of the workaround for SketchUp to be able to kind of smoothly walk through the space a little bit better. Does that make sense? Okay. I think the last thing I want to show you is you can actually adjust some of the animation settings. Let's say that you want to stay on, actually this is not the last thing, second to last thing. Let's say that you want to maybe stay on your transitions a little bit, or on your scenes a little bit longer, and maybe you want to have a quicker transition between the two. You can adjust those settings. If we go to the camera tab, no, not the camera tab. What did I write in here? View tab. View tab, animation, and settings. So we've got a couple options here. We can, first of all, it's just asking you if you do want scene transitions. So if I uncheck that, and I play my animation, SketchUp will just jump straight to your different transition, or to your different scenes at that point. There's no kind of fly through happening. It's just jumping straight to each scene. So that's an option that you have. If I go back to View, Animation, Settings, we'll go ahead and turn that back on. and you can adjust the timing for your transitions and also the length of time that it pauses at each scene. So let's say that I want some longer transitions, so maybe I'll bump this up to 5 seconds, and maybe I also want my scenes to rest a little bit longer, so I'll bump it up to 3. Let's go back. Play animation. And now it should be taking quite a bit longer for me to walk through my space. It should be pausing at each scene a bit longer, and it's also taking me longer to actually transition between each scene. It's kind of a slow walk now rather than a regular walk. So you can play with the settings however you'd like it. If you'd like to move slowly through your space, if you'd like to move a little bit quicker but maybe pause at each scene for longer, you can kind of play with that and see what you like best. Let's just see the difference here if I go back to my settings. If I brought this back down to 1 and 1, and play the animation, and boom, I'm walking through a lot faster, and I'm pausing for just a short amount of time now. Does that make sense? The different lengths and how you can adjust those? Perfect. Okay, the last thing, this is now actually the last thing, back to this button about including in animation. I just want to show you what happens if you don't include it in the animation. So let's say that all of these transitions here, if I don't include them, I'm unchecking include in animation for each of these. You'll notice that now these scenes are in parentheses, so that's kind of SketchUp's way of telling you, hey, these aren't going to be in your animation. So now if I right-click and play my animation, SketchUp should, it's just going to skip through those other scenes that I chose not to play in the animation as if they're not there. So that might be useful if, we've already made scenes for your sections and your floor plan. Well, if you have those included in the animation, then SketchUp is going to go ahead and move through those as well in your animation. So if you don't want those to be included in your animation, just uncheck that little box and SketchUp will ignore them as it's playing the animation. Make sense? Okay. So I have linked a couple videos on here that are really nice. It's that same kind of dorky guy. I have one for navigating your model in the interiors, so that one's going to help you out a little bit more with the zoom, look around, and walk features if you need a little bit extra help with those. And then this second one is just kind of walking through the animations again, and he shows you about the transition scenes and everything like that as well. So these are really great tutorials, and honestly, just if you're ever looking for SketchUp tutorials, this guy is, let me see what his name is. He is just on here as the SketchUp Essentials. So he makes a lot of really great videos. He's got lots of them. So if you ever need some extra help with stuff, he's a great one to go look for. So your assignment then is to create at least 3 main perspective views in your animation. So these can be, all 3 can be interior views, or if you'd like to have one exterior view in there, so maybe you want to start at an overall exterior perspective, or maybe you want to start looking at your front door on the exterior, that's totally fine. But I do, if you choose to have an exterior view, I do want you to still have at least 2 interior views, and I just realized that that is not written correctly. So if you have, these views should be, or 1 exterior view plus 2 interior views. There we go. So these would be kind of like those main ones that we first set up in the beginning, as kind of like your main kind of money shots of your space. And then, so these views should be of different areas of your house. So, don't give me 3 views of your living room. Show me the rest of your space. Show me your bedroom. Show me your loft space. Maybe you want to show me the bathroom. And so then use your camera tools in each view to capture the best view of your model. And then play the animation of your scenes. And if it's not transitioning quite right, then you might need to add a couple of extra scenes in there, just like we did, so that you maintain a smooth transition between each scene. And then you can adjust the transition length and scene length in the animation settings to customize your animation. So 3 main views, and then you'll probably need to add some transition views in there as well to help you walk through the space a little bit more smoothly.